good evening. Welcome back to another session of Curiosity Talks. And for those of you who have been here before, you know it's always wonderful to see you back. And for those who are new, I'll just give a brief introduction. So, Wisdom Circle is a global platform that connects recruiters and seasoned professionals by leveraging technology, thus resulting in meaningful partnerships. And Curiosity Talks is an offering in a bouquet that Wisdom Circle brings to its members. And it is my privilege to host speakers like Samina today, who bring wisdom, knowledge, and information to all of you. Today we have Samina Alam from the India Leaders for Social Sector, and she leads the Center of Excellence for Board and Governance, where she facilitates effective board engagement for nonprofits and guides, and C-suite professionals in transitioning to advisory board roles within the social sector. Her work sits at the intersection of governance, leadership, and impact, helping nonprofits build strategic boards that drive scale and sustainability. So, to know more about Samina and about ILSS, I am going to start by asking a very important question, Samina. What does ILSS do?
Thank you, Swati, for opening up the space and for inviting us into the space. I have some of my team members here also from ILSS. So, my name is Samina, and as Swati has already mentioned, India Leaders for Social Sector as an organization, we started some 7 years back. And with the sole aim that we would like to see the sector moving into a slightly more, just enable the sector more. There is so much potential. There is so much work that needs to be done. And there's no end to the number of people who can actually contribute. There's a lot that needs to be done, right? As many hands on deck is a good scenario to have. So with that mission, ILSS started essentially to infuse talent, leadership talent into the social sector. And as we got into it, over time we realized that there were certain very interconnected, interrelated aspects that also needed to be looked at. Like when you're thinking about strengthening the capacity of the organization, a social sector organization, let's say by infusing sector grown leadership, or in some cases, even leadership from the corporate world, corporate crossovers wanting to basically do a different kind of work, getting into full-time role in the sector. We also realized, because we were in conversation with a lot of organizations, that there are other very inherent needs. For instance, the need for fundraising, because money is at the center of what we may have the loftiest ideals and we may have the best let's say ideas, but the execution requires the fuel, and that fuel is fundraising, right? And similarly, there is another aspect. For instance, we realize that, digital enablement, digital adoption is another area, because Swati, you mentioned technology. So again, very often we are asked this question. So can a tech leader have any role to play? So there are different kinds of questions that came about around this whole concept of contributing to the sector. And today we are structured as 4 different centers of excellence. We work on different aspects, thematic areas, and our endeavor remains to, basically catalyze impact at scale. That's who we are. And by structure, I will share with you a little later how we are structured also. So that's when I start the presentation.
Before I go forward, I must welcome Vishaka and Barira from ILSS also, the team that is helping you today, Samina. And the question which comes to a lot of minds who are here today, I'm sure, is that is prior social sector experience required to move into this space? Like if you've been in the corporate all along or in any other domain, is that experience required if you want to move into this space?
So I would say our very existence is a testament to the fact that it is not. If you have enough to give to the sector in terms of your time, bandwidth, skills, expertise, commitment, The sector is all encompassing and it will just love you, enfold you, and suck you in, is what I can say. So, no, you do not. Our founder, Anuradha Prasad, she herself is a corporate crossover. We have ourselves created this entire ecosystem of fantastic leaders who have come from the corporate world, who have now become enmeshed in the social sector. So no, it is not required. I can tell you about myself also. I am also 50% from the corporate and 50% from the social sector, roughly. I've
Okay.
had a stint in both kinds of ecosystem. I've also co-founded my own startup at an early stage,
Okay.
burnt my hands there, learned a little bit about entrepreneurship, jumped right at it with a leap of faith, figured out a lot of things later on. And then while I was working, I also was exposed to the sector. And that's how I then slowly transitioned into the social sector. Prior to joining ILSS, I was also heading a not-for-profit, Delhi-based, yeah, called Seeds Impact. So different roles, different hats. So a lot of us in the organization also are corporate crossovers, and we are entrenched in the sector as of now. So no, you do not need a prior degree in social work only to allow you to work in the space. There are different opportunities, different modalities, and that's what we're going to discuss today. I hope that answers your question, Swati.
Sure, sure, Samina. That's great to hear. So I think now I can let Vishaka and Barira launch your presentation to take it
Sure.
further.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, as I had mentioned earlier, also, my organization is India Leaders for Social Sector. We have a very clear vision. We're looking at transformed leaders, transformed society, and eventually transformed world, right? And essentially, the whole idea is to catalyze leadership for deeper impact, social impact. And it has to be done at scale, and that's what we embody at ILSS. Next. In the time span that we have, roughly about 20-25 minutes, I will take you through a very brief presentation. We'll keep engaging in between. Just go back, Barira. Yeah, where I'm going to talk a little about the social sector. Perhaps some of you are already familiar with the sector, perhaps some of you are not. So, just to set the table, set the context, I would like to talk a little about the sector. I'll also talk a little about our organization and what we do, specifically about the Center for Board and Governance and what we do at this particular center. And of course, the whole topic of the day, which is Introduction to Serving on Boards of Social Purpose Organizations. Social Purpose Organization, or SPO, is the term that we use at ILSS. You may have heard of NGO, you may have heard of nonprofit, you may have heard of SSO, Social Sector Organization, various nomenclature, but primarily means the same. And then we'll have a little time, about 15-20 minutes in the end, for audience Q&A. In between, also, if there are certain questions, you may please feel free to post them on chat, and we'll try our best to respond to them. Next. Now coming to the social sector landscape. If we were to look at, go on. Yeah, if we were to refer to the NGO Darpan portal, now this is a portal that is a Government of India portal, and that estimates roughly around 3 lakh tax exempt entities in India. Now, what are tax exempt entities? They are basically established for charitable or religious purposes. We all come under that category. Yeah, a lot of the work that we do. So that's how it is defined. And there are certain categories that are mentioned. Some of them are listed here. For instance, the kind of work that you do, relief of the poor, education, medical relief, preservation of the environment, and so forth. Yoga, interestingly, also comes under this. And of course, there is a general category of protecting other objects of general utility and so on, advancement of any other object, that also comes under this. You also have, interestingly, some of the largest hospitals, let's say in Mumbai, for instance, whether it is Leelavati, Nanavati Hospital, Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, they all come under charitable institutions. It's a different story than of course, with Dhirubhai Ambani, there's another angle to it. I think it is disputed also, the charitable nature of the organization and so forth. But that's what it is. So any organization comes under that is tax exempt is roughly this. This is where the figure lies. Move on. Now, I'm going to just highlight certain characteristics of the sector you may have heard through, either you've had prior association, or you may have heard about it in the news, in the maybe sometimes reading the papers or wherever. Uh, SPOs or social purpose organizations are tremendously driven by passion. The slides are not readable. I hope this was just to give you a list of things. The other slides are not very word heavy. If you could just follow what I'm saying, that would also be fine. Is there some way to increase the
No,
resolution of?
it can be read,
Maybe
Samina.
if
Don't
you're
worry
on
about
the phone, maybe if you're
it.
logged on
Right.
from phone, that might be a challenge because then you'll struggle to read. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
On the
if I were
laptop, you are
to,
able.
You just
yeah.
read, go read through it.
Read through. Okay. All right. We usually avoid reading through, but nonetheless, I'll give you the gist of it. If you allow me a little time, I'll give you the gist of it.
Okay.
Essentially, SPOs are driven by passion. They have a deep desire to address some specific causes. Now, the cause could be, general welfare causes. It could be a deeply personal incident that led me to create something, to start something. It could be trauma, it could be loss of a family member, it could be anything, right? A lot of organizations that we interact with will give you some reason or the other. Strategy normally is not a priority in the early stages of the organization. That's a given, more or less. Moving on. And these are general characteristics. Of course, there are outliers. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. Overall, the operating landscape of the social sector is fairly complex and layered. So it's not, when you think about education, for instance, you'll have to also figure out education for whom, education for which level. Even if it is a particular level, can you only think about education, or do you also need to think about other aspects like health, sanitation, nutrition, and so forth? Organizations usually face myriad wicked problems, and they require contextual solutioning, which means there is no one size fits all. There is a need to immerse and to understand the context of the organization before really understanding what it means and to function in that space. So that's very important. There is essentially a lack of collaboration among organizations, sometimes working on similar themes, sometimes even working in similar geographies. One organization is maybe not aware of all the things that the other organization is doing. People are slightly territorial about the work that they do. Moving on. SPOs largely function through data silos, so there are data islands, and not necessarily you will find a lot of coherence and consistency to be able to meaningfully substantiate ground level findings. And this poses a challenge, which means that at any given point of time, the data that I have on the work that I'm doing is not 100% reliable. And that could be a problem of process, that could be a problem of technology, that could be a variety of reasons. There are fewer common spaces or platforms for sharing and collaboration. Now, in recent years, in the last decade or so, there has been some move around bringing organizations together through consortiums, through various incubation support, and so forth. But this was not the pattern earlier. I mean, the name non-government is literally like you're not from the government. It was almost like that. So anybody who's not the government is a non-government sort of an entity. And of course, there would be the private players. Moving on. There is one particular report, which is the Britspan report on nonprofit leadership. I will just highlight one or two things and we'll move on from there. And also, certain findings of the India Philanthropy Report 2023, which highlights three essential buckets where the social sector requires help or is facing the biggest challenges. One is with regard to talent. The second pillar is strategy, and the third pillar is capital. Now, when it comes to talent, a lot of NGOs struggle with leadership, identifying leadership talent. So there is a founder, but sometimes you find very old organizations running with the same founder for eternity, not being able to find the next line of leadership. A lot of orgs struggle. And when it comes to women leadership, that is the number falls further. Yeah. Uh, Social purpose organization, Neeraj, that's the full form of SPO. Strategy, of course. Like I said, passion is there. Strategy is something that needs to be developed, that needs to be worked upon. It needs to be more intentional, and of course, funds, capital. Now, funding is something that is becoming more available to because of CSR, funds being available. It's also how you go about using that fund, and that's where we come in. We do have a role to play in that. Moving on. So at ILSS, what we are trying to do is essentially build a sort of a holistic leadership, leadership and management capacity in four very strategic areas. So one is talent and leadership development, which is sectoral talent, inbuilt in-house talent, as well as if that talent is not available, to infuse talent from the corporate sector for those who have the will and the courage to jump full-fledged into the social sector. The sector will welcome you. Yes. Then you have digital transformation, which is essentially helping organizations think digital adoption from an early stage. And even if they were to begin at a later stage, what would that entail? The nuts and bolts of it. Of course, my center, which is the Center for Board and Governance, where we strengthen nonprofits, the whole governance capacity, both for the nonprofit leader, as well as by infusing talent in the form of advisors, in the form of mentors who can help the leader, work closely with the leader as thought partners, as the ambassador, the critic, the guide, just to enable stronger impact of the organization. And of course, we have the Center of Fundraising, which essentially helps builds capacity of younger fundraisers in the social sector, just to enable the fund that is available, basically. Moving on. So we do have 1,000+ alumni base already, and this cuts across both leaders who have moved into the sector. Some of us, crossover programs include the flagship leadership program, and the other one, which I'm going to talk about, which is the board leadership program, where you can choose to dedicate a part of your time if you have the inclination and the expertise and the desire to contribute to the social sector. Definitely that is something that you can do. So we've trained a variety of leaders, so both sector-oriented as well as non-sector, and we've worked with 300+ organizations also. Now, at the ILSS Center of Board and Governance, if we were to look at our complete work, moving on, we are essentially an institution that is focused on capacity building. So what we do is we do this through learning and development, where we have our world-class faculty, we have programs, offerings, we have coaching and mentoring, and of course, the post-program advisory placement is what we do. In the second pillar, which is strengthening community, we try to bring together the community of practitioners, both from our alumni data pool, as well as from outside, just to help them understand, just to help them connect. If nothing else, just to vent and to feel that we are connected. Yes. And of course, the third pillar being building voices, which is research, advisory support, and case studies. I'm going to pause here once, and I'm going to just request Vishakha to come in. Vishakha, would you like to? And through these three pillars is what we try to achieve: capacity building, of course, strengthening the community, and also bringing in insights from the sector through our research, case studies, podcasts, you name it, blogs, and so forth. Moving on. Yeah. At the board center, in terms of the learning and development and the strengthening community aspect, as well as the advocacy, it all encompasses what we do through our programs, which is on the one hand, on the left-hand side, you will find something called the Board Leadership Program. Now, this is a program that we run for the senior-most corporate professionals across industries who come with many years of work experience, who would want to start looking at the social sector to contribute their time, energy, funds, whatever it might be, and helping organizations grow. Now, it could be perhaps, in your line of work, maybe as part of your organization CSR, you may have come across some organizations and that can trigger a memory. Or it could be somebody, for instance, you might be interested in a particular thematic area and this is your first opportunity. You may have had plans and then life happened and then now you would like to go back to it. So that is another way to look at it. To mirror this, we have another program, and this is a program that we run for SPOs. Now, if the board leadership program addresses the need of advisors, the board governance program addresses how to strengthen your board, how to leverage your board, how to bring the right kind of advisors for your board. So creating those archetypes based on the diagnostic that you conduct for your own organization. And this is for org founders, org leaders, as well as people in the leadership position who can take decisions on behalf of the organization. And we link these two through our advisory mapping process. We are about 145 alumni as part of our center, and we actively engage our alumni through a host of activities that go beyond the programs also. We have learning circles. We bring together our alumni through various conventions, convenings, and so forth. And of course, we have certain annual conferences also where we invite you. We hold a host of master classes and so forth, which gives you an understanding about the sector overall as well. Moving on. Now, we've been talking about SPOs for a while. If we were to look at broadly the various themes that organizations work on, what is the structure of SPOs? So the first category, as we can see, is what is referred to as a society. I am just requesting those who are already familiar with it, just allow me this time because there might be some who might be not have the entire picture. So society, the structure is governed by the Society's Registration Act. It has the board, the legal board, the governing statutory board referred to as the governing body, and it requires a minimum of 7 members. The next is a trust. Trusts are governed by the Indian Trusts Act, and the statutory board is referred to as a board of trustees, and it requires a minimum of 2 trustees. Moving on. The third is Section 8, which is governed by the Companies Act, and the board is called the Board of Directors, and it requires a minimum of anything between 2 to 3 directors, depending on the structure of the organization. Moving on. Now, every SPO, when it forms the entity, requires a legal board, and that is for compliance and statutory obligations. Now, this board is a legal/statutory or a fiduciary board. The organization may. Now, usually what we have seen is as a pattern, a lot of organizations, when they start with members on their board who are essentially, they could be friends and family, mentors, college professors, well-wishers, basically, our trusted circle. That's how we begin. As the organization grows, as the complexities increase, what we have also seen is that many a times, perhaps the organization outgrows the legal board, but they are your trusted circle, and you would want them to, you would want their blessings throughout. This is a beautiful time for an organization to actually start looking outside because you need trusted members for your compliance and regulatory responsibilities. How about bringing in people with specific niche skills to address the gap areas that you feel in your organization? Now, as a founder leader, it is my job to identify what are those gap areas. It could be that the complexity of my work has increased. Now there are multiple geographies involved, so therefore I need somebody or I need maybe advice on how do I scale up. That could be an advisory function. I need guidance on strategy. I could need guidance on how to manage a very large workforce if suddenly my organization has grown exponentially because of a fresh flush of funds. That could happen if I've got a very promising grant or if a CSR funding, right? So there could be a variety of reasons why people may identify and want to identify certain archetypes that they would want as advisors or mentors. Moving on, and that's referred to as the advisory board. And some of the areas that, while in conversation with so many organizations, more than 500, I think, what we found were certain insights that emerged were top being, of course, fundraising, that I want advisors who can help me with fundraising. Even if they can't help me with fundraising, at least if they can open up their channels, their networks, just evangelize the work. So if you feel today you meet a founder and you really resonate with the work that the organization is doing, the org's mission, then if you can become their champion and help spread the word about the organization's good work, because when an organization is recommended by an important person, then it just adds validity to the organization's name. That also happens. I've already mentioned strategy and org development, scaling up, program management, brand building and communication. Many a times organizations, they've existed for 7, 10 years, a decade or so, and then they want to pivot. They want their whole brand identity to change. And that's when they need somebody looking at their organization from a branding lens, from a communication lens. There are organizations that require subject matter expertise also, depending on the nature of work that they do. Of course, compliance and regulatory and audit functions. And overall, if they are heavily into large-scale implementation, then they are bound to interact with the government. So they may require support for government engagement as well. Moving on. And because we had a lot of insights, we also wanted to structure this in the form of, whether what we are hearing is right and whether we can document this in some way. So what we did was recently we actually completed our research, and in November we launched this report, which is the State of Advisory Boards in India's Social Sector. If you can use the scan, the QR code, you can actually scan and download the report, and it's there for you to read. Some of the insights that we have found is, 46% of the respondents, and they were a mixed group of, funders slash advisors, practitioners, SPO leaders, and so forth. They feel that, 46% feels that creating an advisory board is an act of deliberate curation. That means you need to be very thoughtful who you're bringing to your board. Some 42% highlighted the importance of a courtship period. This we refer to as a period where even if you're introduced to an organization and vice versa, suppose you as an advisor have found somebody, you like the organization, you like the work they do, my humble request would be spend some time with them. Go to the field, meet the team members, spend time with the founder again and again. And this is the same advice we give to the SPO founders also. If you find somebody you think is great for your board, spend time with that person. Invite the person to your project site. Invite the person to your events. Allow that time period to get to know each other and build rapport. And that's what we refer to as the courtship period. And another insight from was 46%. They emphasized the composition and the role of advisory board also changes as the organization evolves. Like I was talking about, the first phase when the organization then grows bigger, to then it can happen again at a later stage if the organization is maybe a few decades old. That's also when you would like to maybe change the structure, the composition of your board, because your needs might be very different. Moving on. Some other findings is what we find is there's a beautiful balance between the governing board and the advisory board. Certain responsibilities that the governing board fulfills remains where it is. And then the advisory board brings in flexibility, it brings in strategic support or any other area that might be desired by the organization. Moving on. There are also certain archetypes of advisory boards that a lot of these are homegrown, Indian social sector grown, contextually grown structures that are emerging. They are still evolving. Organizations are experimenting with them, basically based on their need. And that's why I was saying that, the contextual setting is very important to be able to provide that advice also. Moving on. I'm going to share a few examples of certain individuals who have now become advisors in the social sector. And moving on, yes, the first prototype, the first individual here is Jagdish. Jagdish Acharya, he comes with more than 37 years of work experience. He was CEO at PPG Asian Paints. He is now the CEO of Paint and Coating Skills Council of India. And he has recently, not recently, it's been some time, he's been onboarded as on the board of Adhyayan Foundation, an organization from Mumbai. Now, he is also advising other organizations, mentoring other organizations. He's part of the SVP network as well, where he interacts with a lot of orgs. He really liked the work that Adhyan does, but he said, before I join, I would like to spend some time. So, out of his own will, he decided, I want to visit their project sites in two completely different geographies. One was in Pune, Maharashtra, and the other was in Agartala, Tripura, Northeast. Now, here you can see him interacting with the stakeholders, different ones. He's addressing students, he's talking to teachers, he's looking at the books, the teaching learning material and so forth. He's sitting through a circle time. It could be a morning circle time where children come together and they speak about their day and so on. This was one. And it was only after an informed decision that he decided. And he took some time, he took several months, nearly a year before he made the decision that, yes, I will be part of Adhyan's board, advisory board. And now he's part of one of the steering committees at Adhyan. Moving on. Another example is Raji Ramaswamy, comes from a communication and branding background, has been former CEO, Contract India. Raji was part of our program, the Board Leadership Program, and she was introduced to one organization through one of our Alumni Connect in Kolkata, Shopnapuran Welfare Society. Now, Raji is now on the advisory board of this particular organization, where she's also helping them not just with the branding and communication part, but through that, she's also helping with the fundraising aspect. Free will. Nobody forced her to, but she decided to support them. Moving on. Another example is Tapan. Tapan Goel was part of our last cohort. Now, Tapan also comes with, more than 27 years of work experience. He actually, in the last iteration, we had actually conducted an in-person component, and where we had spent more than half a day in the field. So the entire cohort, we had gone with them to a particular organization where they had spent time. Tapan really liked the work that they did, and I think soon after the program, he went, met the founder again, and he committed a personal, amount also. He contributed, which he refuses to share with anybody, so nobody knows. It's a mystery. At the same time, Tapan has also joined the advisory board of that organization. And he's like, just use me any way you can. I'm happy to help. Another organization, and this is a very different profile I'm going to show you. The last profile is General Rabin. He is a decorated, retired army officer from the Indian Army. He was Deputy Chief of Army Staff. Ravin had an illustrious career, has been awarded the President's Award. He incidentally happens to be our colleague also at ILSS, so we are super proud of that. Ravin said, okay, I've retired. Okay, Army has a certain retirement age, but I feel absolutely fit and fine. I'd like to do more. Please tell me how I can help. Ravin also underwent this program, by the way. We connected him with another organization that works on education, Anant Education Trust. Ravin is now on the advisory board of Anant. These are some glimpses of him, being part of their fair. And then Ravin in the last picture is actually addressing a group of parents on good parenting. He did his homework for that. The army perhaps didn't teach him directly that component, but he actually went, studied, took material from us, studied, and he went and actually. So when there's a will, there's a way. It depends. You need not come from the sector. As long as you are empathetic to what happens in the world around us and how interconnected we are more than we realize. I think the rest takes care of itself with the right support. Moving on. There are other examples also where people have not onboarded directly as as full-time advisors, but what they do is they also support organizations as mentors, which means that they get attached to organizations for a smaller a smaller duration perhaps. One such example is Dilip. Dilip actually is based in Seattle. And he attended one of our online programs. And around the same time of the program, he happened to be in Mumbai soon after. Now, you see the lady in that shirt stripes in the middle. Her name is Dr. Tatiana Diaz. For a very personal reason, because it was a trauma for her. She lost her sister. Her sister was specially abled. She actually, in her memory, started this organization called Virushka Foundation, again, Mumbai-based organization. And Virushka runs perhaps one of the only skill schools for differently abled children. When Dilip is in the background, you can see him there. He actually went and he really liked what they do. And he suggested, because he's former director of sciences at Amazon. So he was like, how about we help you onboard your products onto, and these are products created by children, onto the Amazon platform. And now it's available on Amazon platforms. I think they're called Good Eats or something. I forget the name right now. This was just one of the small things that Dilip decided to do on his own. No push from us or anything of the sort. But in addition, what we did was, in an intentional way, moving on, we connected Dilip to another organization. Now, this organization is Missing or Save Missing Lives. This org functions, they work on, prevention of girl trafficking, women trafficking. And Dilip is supporting that organization from a tech lens, because they need to have very quick response time, and they have already been dabbling with technology for a while. So Dilip is helping structure that further. We have Aarti Mittal again from SPJI MR Abhyudaya. She's director there. Now, she was introduced in another organization. They are in conversation already. Like this, we have other examples also. Moving on. We have Susan, who's supporting Access Life, that works on helping families of cancer survivors. We have Nishit, who's trying to help. Again, he comes from a banking background. He is somebody who's helping another organization, Lead by Design. I think it is based in, I forget, but it's from Tamil Nadu. Lead by Design, this organization. So, like this, there are many, many such instances where how do you go about it is something that we'd love to share with you. Moving on. This is one instance where this practitioner, as you can see, the lady on top, Meghna Chawla, she is the founder of Foster and Forge. Through our program, she got two advisors. One is Manu Bhatia. Now, Manu is, he's former senior VP at PepsiCo. And Ruchira, who is, she's a psychotherapist, she's a Wabi Sabi coach. So very different profiles. What Meghna required and what she found in each of the advisors, she just culled it out herself. And she has excellent rapport with her advisors. Different people, different takes, essentially. And there's a lot. So if it's very important for the founder, and that's what we try to do in our other program also, for them to understand what the actual priority is for them in this particular time frame. That's something we drill home. And we do the same for prospective advisors also. Moving on. So if I were to ask, or maybe that's a question, what's in it for, you can ask what's in it for me. If I ask you what's in it for you, what I can say is that this is perhaps if you are somebody who's trying to calibrate your current pace of work life, or if you're looking to create, build a portfolio for the next phase, if you're somebody who wants to contribute to certain causes that resonate, or if you're somebody who's looking for an opportunity, this is a wonderful opportunity to pay forward, then let us know. And we would love to have further conversations, one-on-one conversations with you, very, very curated deep dive conversations with you. The last slide of the day, and I will stop, is if you want to learn more about our program, again, there's a QR code. And thank you, Vishakha, for sharing that. I can see there are a lot of questions in the chat. I don't know how many were addressed. I kept on talking. Naganathan, your question is that you've retired and you're looking for opportunities to help government school students in areas like coaching them. Sure, mentoring, telling stories. Do I have any scope? Yes, there is scope to contribute. There is. And for that, we will have to talk to you separately. And we'll have to understand in terms of, your bandwidth, your priority, where you're based.
Yeah, please. I would like to hear from you on that.
Sure. So can we just stop the screen share now? Would love to see everyone. It would be nice. And you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions.
So I run a foundation by the name of Miracle Foundation, and this is in a very nascent stage. So the three verticals that we work on. Number one is we're doing documentation of the history through a very innovative audio-visual medium. The second vertical is we are working on environment. So to begin with, we have planned tree plantation drives across North India. and we have already done two, one in Delhi, one in Moradabad. Number three, which is quite interesting, is developing soft skill for the rural children. Because what we felt is that,
Right.
pardon?
No, developing software for the rural children,
Soft
right?
skill.
Yeah, sure.
Because we felt that while we were being in school and college, the challenges and these skills that one needs to master to run life didn't happen.
Yes,
And it is important to teach this to the children who are, say, in the age group of about 12 to 15, 16, like that, no, or even little lower. So these are the three things we want to do, and we are not even a year old. And we worked on the first part of the documentation of history, that we've done some one project about 70%. But the other things that we are still in a very nascent stage, and we have developed some content, some program or whatever. But I think still we need some experts to guide us and to take us forward, because these are important. Environment and the soft skill education or whatever are the important elements, no, for the social sector.
Sure.
So let's see what how can this be tackled and handled.
Absolutely. Mr. Singh, what I hear you say is right now you're speaking, you're wearing the hat of your foundation, as org founder, right? So how to go about creating your board, leveraging your board? What are the things, the building blocks? If you are at a nascent stage, you want to build it further. Those are things we take up in a different program, which is the board governance program. Yes, we do it. So when we speak with you separately, we are going to share a little more about our program also and understand from you. I hope that helps.
So how do we take it forward? That's my question now.
So we will reach out to you. If you could share your email ID, we will reach out to you and we will set up a time. Just allow us a little time. We will reach out and we'll have a chat. Yes.
No problem.
Yeah.
Another thing is that, see, the challenge that we face now, I've been struggling with very basic things like getting a 12AB and ATG approval.
Yes.
And I'm told, okay, they are given provisionally for 3 years, and then when you get to get the final approval, there are a lot of paperwork required and all those things. No,
there is. Yes.
That's what CATs know. And there are a lot of questions that are asked. No, they doubt your credibility or whatever. The income tax department about you're doing a social work, but you're being questioned. So that's very strange.
Sure.
Number two is when we talk about non-profit, then what happens is that this GST, I mean, whatever, if I have to outsource something, I have to hire some graphic designer. So if he's going to give me an invoice, he is going to charge the GST.
Yes, he does
so
charge.
we're paying 18%
yes.
on the funds that we get to utilize in with the social engagements, but out of that 18% goes to the government.
Agreed.
That's a little unfair. And similarly, anything, no? Because
yes, it is.
The non-profits are not exempt from GST.
Sure.
For whatever they do, transaction, whether purchase or sale, when sale, I don't mean the actual sale, but okay, there's a GST element that has to be deposited to the government.
Yes.
It's very strange, and I can't find an answer. So only thing is that you don't get invoice and due transaction otherwise. That's not fair, I would feel.
Right.
So these are things that I'm trying to find answers to. Now, how do we?
I hear you, Mr. Singh, but we would require a separate chat for that, because perhaps you're the only one in this, in this group who's looking at it from the founder lens right now. All the others, the kind of questions that we are seeing in the chat also are questions related to how they can get associated as mentors or as advisors on boards of organizations. I can see that. Yeah. So if we could just pause here, and if I could take a few more questions,
All right.
Yeah, we don't have drop in your email ID in
I'll
the
do that.
in the chat, so that we can have a record of that.
Samina, just to add,
Sorry,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah.
add, we also have shared our own email IDs. If there are specific queries, you can perhaps reach out to us
Yes,
because
yes,
there's like a lot of contacts which have come into the chat. Might be a little difficult for us to keep track from here. So it would
yeah,
be great if you have something pressing, please reach out to us. I'll rewrite our email IDs so that you
yes.
can also access us.
Absolutely. I think there is somebody who has asked whether, eh, from a securities perspective, there's somebody who's asked from data perspective, you're teaching digital skills to students
I think there are people with raised hands, so maybe you
with
could
raised
address this
hands
question.
also. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, there was one lady who had raised her hand. Now the hand is gone. Kavita,
I
I think
think
you had
Kavita.
raised your hand, and then I'll
Yes,
come
Kavita.
to, and after that, I'll come to Dr. Madhavan, if that is all right. Yeah.
So, hi, this is an entirely new area. I come from education industry. I had been a college lecturer, and then, for family reasons, had to quit my 9 to 5 job, and then, started preparing e-learning content for different clients, including ed techs and solopreneurs and coaches. Currently, I'm helping women entrepreneurs to start a digital business and take their creative business digitally and scale it. So I'm also associated with a couple of NGOs like She Rose and Wiki, where I act as a mentor for women empowerment.
Sure.
I would like to know whether there is a scope for my background and experience.
Yes, there is. There is, because there are, as you mentioned, education and skills. Now, there are so many organizations, plus, there is a component of livelihoods in what you do because you're
Yes.
working on creating sustainability for women, right? So,
Yes.
there are many organizations that work on that. I could give you two examples, one in Maharashtra, the other in Jaipur, very
Oh,
remote Jaipur, and they are working with women only and deep pockets, in the sense, very remote,
yeah.
but they do require support. So yes, there is
Okay.
there. In fact, they need somebody who has an understanding of the
Right.
particular domain. It's an
Okay.
added advantage.
Okay.
So yes, there is merit in that. Yeah,
Fine.
Kavita?
Yeah. We'll talk in detail later.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank you.
Do reach out to through the email IDs that we have shared. We would love to reach out to you. Just
Sure.
allow us a little time because we are also trying to gear up because then there's going to be a little bit of a lull in between, but we will speak with you.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Dr. Madhavan?
Good evening, madam. Actually, I have two questions. One, actually, what is the role of STEM education in social sector?
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is basically, how do you really feel that digitalization promotes inclusivity in the education side?
Sure.
For example, we have this APAR ID, launched by the government of India.
Mm-hmm.
So that deters many people from joining courses like IGNOU for social sciences. For example, I am retired from service. I wanted to do a course in social science.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't have an APAR ID. So
Right.
such things are coming to my mind. I don't know if you can address these
Right,
issues.
right. There are several organizations in the social sector that are working on STEM, several, and
Okay.
there is a lot of uptake for it. So that is definitely there. Your second question is actually very interesting. It's a debate, it's a dilemma in the minds of many people. Does digitalization increase inclusion or does it exclude more? But there are many organizations, and when I say organizations, they're both nonprofits as well as for-profit organizations that are doing phenomenal work in reaching the last mile with the help of digitalization, because one has to acknowledge the need for scale. Now, if I am somewhere in, let's say, tier one, and I want to reach out to tier three, I will have to rely on a certain degree of digitalization and
Yes.
technology adoption. So, yes, how well I do it, how well I can mine that data to actually enable outcomes, actually change outcomes. In fact, recently when we were doing our board launch, we had this question coming from the audience also. And our panelists actually spoke at length about, data privacy, the ethical use of data, because you're collecting data from, let's say, children. children's families, in terms of just mapping learning outcomes, trying to show, year on year what has been the progress and so on. So how you go about doing it, it requires a lot of thought behind it. And that's where somebody who comes from a technology background, helping an organization just adds that value. We had a panel discussion on the 17th also, where this was exactly the point. Get somebody, open up to the idea of having a tech leader on your board who can bring in that lens, who wears that hat. That's been the expertise of that person. So yes, there is. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your third question, Dr. Madhavan.
No, the same question. I had extended it to this. Actually, this APAR ID launched by the Government of India.
Yes.
So
yes.
basically, does it deter people from really educating themselves, or does it promote? Because it's all identified by a unique number. So
Right.
each student will have a unique number, and then so will it really encourage him to go forward in education, or will he?
I will need more data on this, Dr. Madhavan. I don't think I'm in a position to tell you right away. So that's something that I will research. Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it
Fine.
will be a deterrent or not, or whether it enables, perhaps the unique ID is more to assign a mentor to a particular child. But I wouldn't want to just make. I'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Samina, we have 5 minutes to
5 more minutes,
6,
yeah.
and so I will ask. I think Krishnamurti has raised his hand, so we
Yes.
could end on that question.
Okay. Operating on somebody has mentioned about honorarium. So largely in the social sector, before I come to Mr. Krishnamurti, is these are advisory pro bono roles. Because not-for-profits, barring the really, really big ones, are not in a position to, and the whole idea is access. And the whole idea is where I can meet the organization on a level footing. And for me, it is very important as an advisor to first unlearn, first understand the context, understand what it takes to run that organization, and then advise. So it's a lot of nurturing that happens, and largely these roles are pro bono. Yes, Mr. Krishnamurti, please tell me. Ask rather.
Mr. Krishnamurti, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question?
While he's responding, there's one more question in the chat. I can see I'm also a hockey coach who coaches youngsters in sports. Yes, we have organizations that use sports as the medium to build life skills and work on mental health and work on just having a positive view of life. There are organizations, we have excellent alums working in those areas. So yes, if you are a coach, you can jolly well, join hands with such organizations, and they'll be forever grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I talk now?
Yes, yes, please.
I suppose you're hearing me well.
Yes,
Yes,
now
yes,
we can hear you.
Yeah. Good evening to you all. And it is the first time I'm just getting into your platform, and it was very interesting. So I just want to say that I'm a retired man after 72, 73 years. I had about 40 years of marketing experience. During Corona time, I decided, let me do something on the social side, like what you said, SPO and all. I found one platform called FPO. That is a Farmers Producers Organization.
Yes.
It was formed in 1956.
Right.
In 2013, they made it as a farmer producing company.
Correct.
So I was all along doing the 35 years in the private limited company.
Mm-hmm.
I found it will be very easy to do the FPO as a FPC, where we have controls on the inputs and outputs, and probably we can make it viable.
Mm-hmm.
See, but unfortunately, the system, whatever has been given in the present context, is not fully conducive to set up a private limited type of operations, because they want farmers to be part of the system.
Yes.
And I saw your SPO. This is the first time I'm hearing what is this social purpose organization.
Yeah.
Whether any sort of a synergy between FPO and this one, where I can use some expertise from outside, or we can take some farmer members outside the state where I am working. so that the expertise is available at a lower cost and the project can still be made viable. Because I have one CEO and 100 farmers. Of course, there are farmers who are able to handle some of the functions of the FPO, but they're all scattered. See, if I can engage some social service experts who are good in helping me either technically or marketing wise or financial wise or sourcing funds, it is a totally pure FPO, means I'm not interested in making any money in that. And I definitely want to give a portion of my service also as a contribution to the FPO.
Sure.
You have some, sorry.
Yes, there are organizations, Mr. Krishnamurthy, that work on, let's say, just protecting indigenous crops, for instance, indigenous seeds we have in our network. If you would like to understand from them whether they have that knowledge or not is something that I'll have to dig out. I have to talk to them and find out. But if you could, write to one of the email IDs, just so that it's there on the email chain, we can find out and we can connect you with somebody who might be able to, somebody you can talk it out with. Again, I think you're also coming from a founder lens. Yes, we can do that for you. That's not an issue. We can connect you with someone. I think, yes.
So on that note, I want to thank Samina for the hours that she has spent with us and for all the information and knowledge that she's brought to our table in this session, and to also thank the ILSS team for being here this evening. Thank you all of you for attending the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Wisdom.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening in to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye.